Hey guys, welcome back. Today is the 7th day of my daily stream. This is a Christmas special. I share here some of the thoughts, strategies, tips sometimes, hoping that would be useful. And also during these very short streams, usually within 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes, I share with you one code that would give you access to 3Commas platform. So that's a goodie that you can take away along with all the knowledge that I'm sharing with you. So today, I'm finally getting to a topic that I wanted to cover for a while. And I will not be able to cover all of it, but to a large part, I will introduce the topic and then we can maybe spend 2 days on it or maybe even more. And that's the strategy that I had introduced for 3Commas, I think half a year ago. And that's the strategy that's trading in Bitcoin and it's taking profit in Bitcoin. So I have created my own signal in 3Commas Marketplace. So in 3Commas Marketplace, you could subscribe to various signals. At that time, it was free. And just recently, I changed this to paid, but very, very small price, like $5 a month. And then, 3Commas takes part of it anyway. But I just thought, why not? Maybe there would be something that I could get out of it. So this trading was about, no, that's not, that's my custom one, sorry. Trading was about Scalper, that's the one, is my signal. So let's see if it's there still in the marketplace. If I try to look for it. Yes, right here, trading was about Scalper. So, well, for me it shows free, but I think for you it will be like $5 a month. And I think that's, it's quite reasonable. But the trick is to learn how to use that. And I see that there are 5 people who apparently use it now and know how to use it, so they find it useful. Before I switched this to a paid signal, it was free and I had over 30 or even more, 40 subscribers there. So I also made a bunch of videos, like 3 or 4 videos explaining how the scalper works. And I think it's time to maybe come back to that particular strategy. I'm still using this myself. I'm using this on several of the bots that I use, and that's trading on USDT margined contracts on futures, but also on CoinM. So this bot now I'm showing, it's CoinM. And it's using this signal. So it's taking reasonable profits here, as you can see, and it's taking profits in Bitcoin. So that's, that's the beauty of it, right? Every time we take profit, we are accumulating Bitcoin. And then over the time, the actual balance is growing in the Bitcoin. Now, I had explained and shared the settings that I have there in that marketplace page, but I need to make some updates there. One of the things that I have kind of tend to switch recently is that I changed my target profit. So as the name implies, this was designed to be a scalper. And on some of the bots, I'm still running this as a scalper. So for example, this one, for example, well, it's a very similar one. Okay, that's like a copy of the scalper. It doesn't use this particular strategy from marketplace, but it's using the same signal. So anyway, I'm scalping here 0.15% of profit. So this is a very tiny profit which would only work on futures because on futures you have much smaller fees than, for example, on spot, and also you don't deal with the dust. So also here I have very tiny Bitcoin portion. So you can see this bot is running for a while. It's accumulating these tiny pieces of Bitcoin, and it's basically hands off. I don't need to do anything about it. There are two DCA settings that I introduced for that scalper, and also they are somehow now universal for me. So there's the one that I call wide, like this one, and this wide setting consists of 3 safety orders. Then its deviation is at 2.5%, and then the step scale is 1.25, and the volume scale is at 115. So these are the very average settings that I came up with over the last year or so. So I've tried a number of them and back tested them and live tested them and paper tested them, various DCA settings. And there is some kind of an average that I came up with, and this is it. Specifically for volume scale and step scale. These two parameters, I think, are very good in average. Then you could play around with the number of settings. So instead of 3, you could have more. That's no issue, because 3 would only cover here 9.5%. And I thought, well, for Bitcoin, that's sufficient, because, well, we do have sometimes pretty heavy drops or pumps, because the scalper actually works in both ways, long and short. But I thought, well, for Bitcoin, it's sufficient. If you want to use it for other coins, you could, for example, increase it to 5, right? And then this would extend. And another one that I felt can be somehow adjusted is this price deviation. So that just shows how close you're going to the base order you're going to start opening the safety orders. So I had these 2 templates there for this bot, for my Bitcoin bot. I had the wide template, and I had what I called mini template. And the mini is actually a bit deceiving. I think I should have called it differently, but the mini one is kind of growing like a snowball. The safety order deviation is 0.25, so it's placing the safety order right after the base order, and then it starts increasing. Same parameters for step scale and volume scale, but it just does it much closer and much denser. So there's a denser, finally only covering 6.4%, and it doesn't require much to get out. So that's why, for example, you will see, if you look at the profit curve of this bot, and I have some other bots with a similar configuration, it's always a very smooth line, right? It doesn't look like this, like maybe like here. Yeah, this one, you see it's kind of like steps. And sometimes, you'll see this even more. So whenever your profit curve or somebody else's profit curve looks very smooth, it's usually because their DCA is quite heavy and it's helping them to get out. So the bot is making profit not so much because of the entry condition, but more because of the DCA setting. Okay, I'm kind of all over the place now, I realize, but that's just a bit of introduction if you haven't watched the videos where I spend a lot of time on these particular strategies and these settings. What I want to really discuss is the fact that we need a bot that makes Bitcoin, that generates Bitcoin. So we are trading in USDT, we're taking profit in USDT, this is all fine. But we are all expecting that the value of Bitcoin will continue to increase, right? So do we just buy Bitcoin over the time, kind of DCA it and keep it? Or do we design a bot that's actually able to trade in Bitcoin? So these strategies that I'm showing you now, trading on, well, this one is inverse futures on Bybit. That's what it's called, inverse futures. And that one is coin M. So they are trading in the coin itself and taking profit in the coin itself. And that's one way of getting your Bitcoin profit. But there is one more way, and that's the trading on spot and trading in BTC Quote Currency. So this is something I've been trying to explore more recently, and hopefully come up with a strategy that works. So for instance, if we are looking at Ripple BTC pair, right? So XRP BTC. And now here, these are some of my analysis. I'm here on the 1-day scale, and then you can go to 4 or 1 hour and try to see, well, how do you trade that thing? So it's like a normal price chart, of course. The only difference is that there are two cryptocurrencies which you trade against each other, and both of them are fluctuating against a USDT against a US dollar, and that becomes a bit of a trick. And as one maybe depreciates against US dollar, like for example Ripple here, and Bitcoin maybe appreciates, then we see that XRP over BTC is actually falling in price. But sometimes it's pumping, right? So we could, for example, here take, I don't know, 50% or so of profit in the Bitcoin. And that's one of the bots that I started, and I have created a bot log for that. So there is a trading journal on my blog. I can leave a link in my stream to that journal. And I'm describing basically the settings that I'm using, some of the settings that I just showed you. And here they are again. And I'm also describing the performance. And for the first, when I started this 2 months ago, for the first few weeks, the performance had been quite good. And I've been taking profits in Bitcoin on spot. So for me, this was almost risk-free. Perfect, right? I don't need to worry about leverage, nothing. And then it got stuck. So I have here 8 safety orders, and all safety orders were stuck. Let me find this bot right now. There it is. So my 8th safety order was consumed, and now I'm in negative unrealized P&L, so I'm waiting to get out. And the funny thing is that when I was doing my journal and I was doing price charting right here in November 4th, I kind of expected that this would be the bottom, but I did not set up my safety orders to reach that. So finally, when the price had dropped in December, like this, it went down to that level where I expected it would go. My last safety order 8, was here at that purple line. So that's a lesson, right, for me a bit, because I missed the opportunity to buy lower, and also my funds are locked until I'm able to exit. And unfortunately, what I've done, the mistake there that I've done, is that I had placed my deviation too close. So that particular setting was at 0.5. And if I had it at 2.5, as I was showing you, for example, on this bot that I have, and right here, and as I had also recommended this in my other videos, basically, if I did what I recommended others to do, then it would have been fine. So 2.5, wider setting. But I didn't. I had that bot at 0.5, and it didn't reach far enough and got stuck. Well, you can see my starting condition. You can see other settings here. So that's something, again, you can have it if you're interested. I think these two strategies, running on CoinM and also trading on spot with BTC Quote Currency, are excellent way to diversify your trading strategies, diversify your bots, and accumulate a bit of Bitcoin for yourself as it continues to grow in value. With this, I want to thank you if you had watched this video, and I'll give you the code in case you want to try 3Commas. You can run this particular bot and other bots. This is the code that you can enter after you register and get 1 month of pro access. Leave me a comment if you'd like. There are 7 more days that I promised I'd do a daily video stream. So I will sometimes come back to some of the things that I have brought up and maybe didn't explain well enough. So I'll come back and explain them better. Or if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Thanks, and talk to you next time.